While I was putting together a crib for my soon-to-arrive baby boy, I overheard a heart-wrenching conversation. My wife, talking to her parents, said she didn't love me and never had. She referred to me as nothing more than a source of income. Her mother chimed in, assuring her they'd take custody of our child when I inevitably fell apart. My teenage stepdaughter, in a hushed voice, asked if she could spit in my food. Despite the intense emotional blow, I continued drilling, refusing to let them see my reaction. Earlier today, my wife and her mother came to my door, tears in their eyes, pleading for a conversation. This has been the out hardest week of my life, and I'm struggling to make sense of it all. Writing this here feels like my only escape, even if it turns into a jumbled mess. For obvious reasons, I'm posting from a throwaway account. A little background: I'm a 38-year-old man, and Megan, my wife, is 36. We've been married for a decade. She has a 15-year-old daughter, Skylar, from a previous relationship, whom I've helped raise since she was just 5. In about 3 weeks, we're expecting our first child together, a little boy we had planned to name Liam. Everything seemed picture perfect. We had a lovely home nestled in the suburbs, a comfortable amount tucked away in savings, and the illusion of happiness wrapped around us. Yet, it turns out, I was completely blindsided. Just last Saturday, I found myself in the garage, halfway through assembling the crib for our baby. It was one of those DIY nightmares with a gazillion parts and instructions that felt like they were written in an alien language. After a few hours, I was deep in the don't mess this up mindset, laser focused on not mangling the whole project. To keep the air moving, I had lifted the garage door just a tad. Our kitchen window was right up above, and Megan, her mom Bernice, and Skylar were having a chat inside. At first, their voices were just background noise, the soundtrack to my construction site. But then, unexpectedly, I heard my name. Now, I'm not one to intentionally eavesdrop, but when your name is tossed around in a conversation, it's instinctual to tune in, isn't it? What followed next had me frozen, drill in hand. Megan began by confiding in her mom about the stress she was under with the baby on the way. It seemed like typical, run-of-the-mill pregnancy worries until it took a turn I wasn't prepared for. Then she started venting about how I was getting under her skin and suffocating her with my presence. Then she dropped an emotional grenade that's been replaying in my head ever since. She told her mom that she doesn't love me, never really did, and that to her, I'm nothing more than a paycheck with hands. A damn paycheck with hands. Her mom, Bernice, didn't even flinch. Instead, she nodded knowingly and mentioned something about getting custody once I inevitably cracked. And then, Skylar's child I've nurtured as my own for 10 years asked if she could spit in my food. I kept my head down, focused on drilling, refusing to meet their eyes. I felt like someone had reached into my chest and pulled out my heart with cruel precision. I finished building that crib on autopilot, my mind a chaotic storm. When I finally came inside, everything shifted. They were all bright smiles, and Megan casually asked if I wanted lunch. But all I could think about was Skylar's request. Someone spitting in my food was almost enough to make me lose it right there and then. But I managed to keep it together long enough to say I wasn't hungry. I stumbled to the bathroom, locked the door, and quietly fell apart, feeling as if my world was unraveling. For the past 6 days, I've been living a charade, pretending everything is fine while secretly crafting my escape plan. Every night, I go to bed next to someone who sees me only as a source of income. Every morning, I make breakfast for a teenager intent on sabotaging me. I comfort a woman carrying my child, even though she intends to use him as leverage. Reflecting on the past, the warning signs were everywhere. But I was blinded by my own trust and dedication. From the day we got married, I've been the one managing our finances. I earn more than Megan, yet I never hesitated to support her or Skylar. I funded Megan's return to school a few years back, bought Skylar her phone, laptop, clothes, everything she needed. Megan always advocated for separate bank accounts under the guise of independence, and I never questioned it. Little did I know what lay beneath the surface. Now I understand why everything suddenly makes sense. Just yesterday, I peeked into our joint account and discovered that she's been discreetly setting money aside for months, making tiny transfers that slipped under my radar. Then, while browsing through our shared Amazon account, I unearthed a trail of baby items ordered and sent to her mom's house, items I was completely unaware of. Curiosity led me to sift through our text messages. Over and over, she's told me she had to work late, yet there are photos in her Google Photos of her dining out with friends on those supposed busy nights. There's no hard evidence of infidelity, but there are definitely layers of deceit. And here I am, trapped in a waking nightmare as our son's arrival draws closer. It's clear that Megan is orchestrating something, likely planning to leave once she has our baby and feels secure. Her mom, Bernice, seems to be part of her plan. I'm paralyzed by anxiety, unable to eat or sleep. Every day, I find myself showering her with love and excitement about the baby, while I'm secretly drowning in doubt and despair, buried beneath a hollow facade. Imagine the torment of sitting across the dinner table, sharing smiles and discussing baby names, all while knowing I'm seen as little more than a human ATM. Behind the mask, I'm taking steps to protect myself, recording our conversations with my smartwatch, compiling evidence, sifting through financial records, and screenshotting every instance of deceit. It's excruciating every time Skylar asks for money or favors. I have to hold back the urge to question whether she repay me with disdain someday. This is the child I taught to ride a bike, the one I walked into her first day of middle school, and stayed up with through sleepless nights when she came down with strep throat. Now, the painful truth emerges: it was all a charade. I was nothing more than the walking wall that they played nice with. This morning, Megan casually mentioned the doctor advised her to rest because her blood pressure was high and asked if I could paint the nursery this weekend. I replied with a smile, "Sure, no problem," while a silent scream echoed within me. I know I have to confront them, but the timing ain't right yet. I need to have everything in place and be sure I can protect my son. That's what keeps me going, the unwavering resolve to stay in his life no matter what. They might see me as a mere source of income, but I'll be damned if I let them take my son away. Meanwhile, Megan's been texting me nonstop about baby shower plans, asking if I can pick up decorations on my way home. She's acting like everything is perfectly fine, as if she didn't shatter our world with just a few words. The real twist in all of this is having to lie next to her each night, pretending I don't know that the woman I've cherished for 10 years views me as nothing more than a disposable resource. I have to keep myself together until I can figure out a plan. Sorry for this chaotic post. I feel like I'm spiraling. If anyone out there has walked this path before, I could really use some guidance. Honestly, I'm not even sure what kind of help I'm looking for right now. There are moments when you just need to share what's on your mind, even if it's with someone you don't know on the internet. I'm gearing up to meet with a lawyer next week to figure out how best to protect myself and my son. Right now, I'm simply trying to get through each day without losing my composure or jumping into a confrontation before I'm truly prepared. Here's an update for those who have been following my story. First, while I was blown away by the incredible response to my last post, I truly didn't anticipate such a flood of advice and support. Sorry for dropping off the radar for a while. Things have been utterly chaotic. To catch up anyone who missed the beginning, I'm the guy who overheard his pregnant wife confessing to her mom that she sees me as just a paycheck and plans to take custody once I emotionally break down. On top of that, my stepdaughter even asked if she could spit in my food. Quite the family scenario, right? On a happier note, Liam made his entrance into the world, arriving a few weeks early, but healthy, weighing in at 6 pounds 4 ounces. For the last 2 months, I've felt like I'm stuck in a bizarre twilight zone, trying to act like everything's fine while slowly unraveling the life we built together. The hospital experience was absolutely surreal. There I was, cutting our child's umbilical cord, fully aware that his mother sees me merely as a walking ATM. I looked at that tiny human, carrying half of me and half of someone who's been scheming against me, and felt an overwhelming wave of emotions. I ended up sobbing uncontrollably in the hospital bathroom, definitely not the magical moment you see in movies. I've dubbed my strategy Operation Ghost Protocol. Yes, even amidst chaos, I managed to keep my sense of humor, however nerdy it may be. Here's what's happened so far. I consulted a lawyer the day after we returned home from the hospital. It cost me $1,000, but it was worth every cent. I got solid advice on protecting myself and establishing paternity rights. I've also been working on sorting out custody arrangements, and I am slowly starting to take control of the situation. I started secretly funneling part of my salary into a new account at a different bank. It's a small enough amount that it won't raise any suspicions with our main account, but it's enough for me to build a safety net. I purchased a voice-activated recorder for the nursery, completely legal here, so no need to panic. It's been capturing some eye-opening conversations when I'm not around. I've also rented a modest apartment across town, paying for the first 3 months in advance. I've been carefully moving essential items there bit by bit when no one's home, just clothes and some personal belongings that would be immediately missed. I've documented everything meticulously, taking pictures of all the baby items I purchase, saving receipts, and noting each diaper change and night feeding I handle. I've set up a shared cloud folder with my lawyer containing all of this evidence, including the initial recordings where they referred to me as just a paycheck. But last week, things took a truly unsettling turn. Caught in the act, I couldn't believe my eyes as I watched the footage. Skylar, who I've cherished and raised since she was a little girl, actually spat in my coffee when she thought I wasn't looking. The security camera in the kitchen, one I'd installed after a previous incident, captured everything in stunning 4K detail. She stared straight at the mug, spat right into it, and then stirred it, all with a smirk that chilled my very soul. This is the same Skylar I taught to ride a bike, accompanied on her first shopping trip for a school dance, and helped with endless science projects. Those precious memories now seem like they belong to someone else's life. Meanwhile, Megan and her mom, Bernice, have become increasingly overbearing since Liamara entered the picture. They make decisions about my son without me, leaving me sidelined. Just yesterday, Bernice had the audacity to suggest they take him for a weekend getaway to give me a break. Sure, I smiled and nodded, pretending to appreciate the offer, but in truth, I mentally logged it as yet another piece of evidence in this unfolding fiasco. And the most unsettling part, Megan still plays the role of the perfect wife when we're out in public, a veneer that makes these betrayals cut even deeper. She's been flooding her social media with family photos, tagging me in glowing posts about what a wonderful dad I am. The comments are all heart emojis from people who have no idea what's really going on. Behind the scenes, she's texting her mom, complaining that I'm annoying for wanting to hold my own son so much. Yes, I can see her text shanks to a savvy tip from my lawyer and the wonders of cloud backups. Setting up our family devices has granted me this unintended insight. I've been embracing the role of the exhausted yet devoted new dad, getting up for night feedings, changing diapers, doing laundry. Yet, she turns around and tells her friends I'm not pulling my weight. The gaslighting is surreal. She watched me doing something, then tell others I never take on the hardest tasks. Despite it all, I truly love being Lee Ames's dad. During those quiet, intimate 3 a.m. feedings, I whisper to him that I'll always be there, that I'll fight for him, and that one day, he'll know the truth. I gently place him back in his crib, my heart heavy, knowing another night on the couch awaits, because I just can't bear to be beside Megan anymore. My lawyer reassures me that we've put together a compelling case for at least equal custody, maybe even more, given all we've documented. The pieces are falling into place, but timing is everything. I've been waiting patiently for the perfect moment to break free, and that moment is tomorrow. Megan, Bernice, and Skylar have a full day planned, shopping for Skylar's birthday, grabbing lunch, and getting their nails done. They'll be out the entire day. This morning, I secretly filled the car with the last of my belongings while Megan was in the shower. As soon as they leave, I'll gather up Liam's travel crib, some baby essentials, and our loyal dog. It's been my little secret that I've been taking him to doggy daycare more frequently, helping him adjust to being away from home. Deciding what to do about Skylar has been the hardest part. Despite all the turmoil, I've been her dad for a decade, and that bond isn't easily broken. The recorded conversation and that awful spitting incident are things I can't bring myself to forgive. She's old enough to know better and to grasp the consequences of her actions. Yet, parting ways with her feels as painful as losing a part of myself. I poured my heart into a letter, explaining that despite all that's happened, she was and will always be my daughter in my eyes. Perhaps one day she'll read it and truly understand. Or maybe she won't. Megan keeps asking why I've been so quiet lately. I just say it's the exhaustion from caring for the baby. She doesn't even see what's on the horizon. There's a twisted part of me that's curious to see her reaction when she discovers I'm not the pushover she imagined. That I heard every word, and I've been planning several moves ahead all along. I keep going over my go bag to reassure myself that nothing crucial has been left behind. All the essentials are there. Important documents, birth certificates, insurance cards, Liam's medical records, and my personal items. It's strange how a decade of marriage can be reduced to just a duffel bags and a backpack. Is it wrong that a part of me feels excited about what's to come? It's not just about seeking revenge. It's the exhilaration of finally tasting freedom. The thrill of no longer needing to pretend, of breathing without the constant weight of deceit pressing down on me. Maybe this makes me a bad person. Maybe I should have confronted them right away, tried to mend things. But how do you repair a relationship with people who see you as a resource rather than a human being? How do you reason with someone who never truly loved you? The best I can do is protect myself and the innocent caught in this chaos. The plan is straightforward. Once I'm settled into my new place, I'll send Megan a single screenshot evidence from the security footage capturing Skylar spitting in my coffee. I'll let that one image speak for itself. Then, I'll switch off my phone for 24 hours and let them stew in their panic. Afterward, my lawyer will reach out with the custody arrangements and divorce papers. Wish me luck, everyone. The next update will come from the sanctuary of my new home, safe with my son as we embark on a fresh start. To cut off the negativity. Welcome to my new life. It's not quite the storyline I had envisioned, but I've realized that sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply refusing to play the victim anymore. This is my final update, as it's been 3 months since I last shared my journey. Although I wasn't planning to write again, the outpouring of curiosity from so many people left me feeling that I owed you closure. Besides, putting everything into words helps me make sense of the whirlwind my life has become. First things first, Liam is thriving. At just 4 months, he's already starting to babble, and those little lungs of his are powerful enough to keep me up all night. Oddly enough, I don't even mind the sleepless nights. Every time he clutches my finger with his tiny hand, it reaffirms that every ounce of hardship was worth it. In my last update, I shared how I had just moved out as Skylar and the others left for a birthday shopping trip. With Liam, the dog, and everything I could manage to cram into my car, I settled into a new apartment. It's not much, a modest 1-bedroom with a kitchenette and a bathroom so small you could reach all 4 walls at once. But it's mine. Here, there's no one reducing me to just a paycheck with hands. I followed through on my plan, sending Skylar that picture of her spitting in my coffee, and then turned off my phone to disconnect from the negativity. This chapter may have opened with chaos, but I'm writing my own story now, and it's filled with hope, determination, and the bright future that Liam and I deserve. When I finally turned my phone back on after 24 hours, I was bombarded with 97 missed calls and nearly 200 texts. I've saved those initial messages in a folder labeled "When I Need a Laugh." They began with confusion, "Where are you?" Then came anger. "Answer your damn phone." Panic followed. "Please, just tell us you're okay." Next was bargaining. We can work this out. And finally, desperate pleading, please come home, we need you. The most telling part, not a single message initially asked about Liam. It was all about where I was and when I'd return. Hours passed before Megan even mentioned our son, a clear sign of where her priorities lay. The next morning, my lawyer served her with divorce papers, which also included the custody arrangement I was pursuing, an initial 50-50th split, along with some specific stipulations. We also included copies of recordings and texts between her and Bernice, revealing their plans on how to manage me after the baby came. That's when everything truly hit the fan. That afternoon, Megan and Bernice unexpectedly arrived at my doorstep, and I was bewildered by how they managed to find me. Perhaps they traced my phone. When I swung open the door with Liam cradled in my arms, the expressions on their faces were almost worth the heartache I'd endured. Megan was in disarray, her mascara smeared, unkempt hair, and still wearing clothes from the day before. Bernice, on the other hand, seemed as if she'd aged a decade overnight. They stood there, tears streaming down their faces, pleading to come inside. For a moment, I just stood there, gently rocking Liam, before I finally relented, allowing them a mere 15 minutes with the stern warning that any loud voices near my son would get them kicked out. What followed was a whirlwind of a conversation. Megan, amidst her tears, insisted that her hurtful words in the kitchen were just a byproduct of pregnancy stress, influenced by Bernice, and professed her love for me. She couldn't fathom why I would take our son away. Listening to her, all I could think about were the numerous recordings I had evidence of her saying almost the same hurtful things, believing I wasn't paying attention. In a tense confrontation, Bernice tried every tactic she could think of to reel me back in. She began with an emotional plea, expressing her disappointment at my decision to leave and break up the family. When that didn't sway me, she switched gears and threatened to take me to court, claiming no judge would side with a father who kidnapped his child. When her threats fell flat, she resorted to bribery, offering to help cover the rent if I returned home. The nerve of it all, this woman, who had always seen me as nothing more than a paycheck, now trying to buy my compliance. In that moment, I simply pulled out my phone and hit play. As the recordings played, I watched their expressions shift. They heard their own words, Megan reducing me to a mere source of money with her hands in the pot, Bernice arrogantly declaring they'd win custody once I broke down, and Skylar casually asking if she could spit in my food. Then there was the conversation from tonight's after Liam's birth, when Megan complained to Bernice about my bonding with my baby, suggesting they needed to fix that. The piece de resistance was a video of Skylar actually spitting in my coffee. Upon seeing this, Megan crumpled, overcome with sobs so intense she could barely breathe. Bernice, however, fell silent in that unerringly calm way older women sometimes do when they realize they've lost all control. She asked to hold Liam, but I firmly refused. That's when the real truth emerged. Without my income, they were struggling. Turns out, they couldn't even make the mortgage payments, and Megan had maxed out 3 credit cards I didn't know existed. Bernice had been counting on my support so they could focus on their new baby, but my methodical documentation of every hurtful thing they'd said about me had caught them completely off guard. They were stunned to discover I'd been planning my departure for months. After they left, I felt a void with no satisfaction, no anger, just a hollowness. After running on adrenaline for so long, when it finally ebbed away, there was nothing left. The following weeks passed in a haze, navigating the world of lawyer meetings and custody negotiations while figuring out how to be a single dad was no small feat. The temporary custody arrangement granted me for days with Liam and left her with 3 each week. Every handoff felt painfully awkward. She often tried to initiate arguments, but I kept my cool, sticking to the basics, discussing Liam's schedule, handing over his diaper bag, and then walking away. A few weeks after I left, Skylar reached out via text, apologizing and saying she missed me. She wanted to talk. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, not responding to her. For 10 years, I was the one who tucked in our child at night and chased away his nightmares. But whenever I felt myself softening, I remembered the look on her face when she spitefully spat in my coffee. Her casual cruelty, the thought of how long it might have been going on, like a wound that won't heal. The court date crept up faster than I expected. My lawyer came prepared, presenting all the evidence: recordings, texts, and videos. Megan's lawyer argued that I'd set up the recordings illegally, but it's perfectly legal here. The judge, after seeing the financial records that revealed Megan had been hiding money and credit cards, was convinced. The final custody arrangement granted me primary physical custody, giving Megan every other weekend and one dinner visit a week. She pays child support now, which is ironic, remembering her past comments about paychecks. She had to move in with her friend Bernice after the house sold because she couldn't afford rent on her own. That was 2 months ago, and things have finally settled into a routine. I moved into a better apartment, a 2-bedroom with a little yard for the dog. Therapy has been a game changer, thanks to platforms like BetterHelp. On Saturdays, I hang out with a single dads group at the park. It's comforting to realize I'm not the only guy who discovered his wife saw him as nothing more than an ATM. Some of their stories would really make your hair stand on end. Surprisingly, Megan seems to have changed too. She's become a more attentive mom, showing up for every moment she can with Liam, limited as her time may be. Every time she texts to check on him during her days off, it's as if she's trying to prove she's still involved in his life. Maybe losing custody was the wake-up call she needed, or perhaps she's just playing the long game. Regardless, I'm keeping a detailed record of everything just in case. Bernice continues to loathe me, sending passive-aggressive gifts for Liam, each accompanied by a note suggesting he belongs with his mother. I've been putting them all in a box, saving them for the day Liam is old enough to ask questions. He deserves to know the raw truth, not the sugar-coated version others might present. The strangest thing happened last week. During drop-off, Megan asked if we could give our relationship another shot. She confessed that she finally realized what she lost and that she did love Mesh, just hadn't known how to express it. I stood there, our son in my arms, thinking about the calm and security I found in my little apartment. No more paranoia about someone spitting in my food or talking behind my back when I leave the room. I told her no, and when she saw I meant it, I felt a surge of liberation. So that's where we stand a year later. It's not the life I envisioned, but perhaps it's the one I was meant to have. Liam's first birthday is around the corner, and I'm organizing a small celebration with close friends and family. Megan will have her own time with him the following day. We're not friends, we're not enemies, we're just a people striving to raise our child as best as we can. Your support has been invaluable, and I couldn't have made it through without you. Life's still chaotic, but at least it's genuine now.